podcast dedicated to the arts, psyche, and society, our multidisciplinary explorations with very famous jazz tune. And I deliberately did not play the entire tune because I want to allow you to have a guessing game. Your mind is already playing what is called musical predictions game, and it's fun. Not only you're trying to guess the name of this tune, but once I played the repetition of the segment of the sequence, your mind is already anticipating the similar segment coming and following the ones that you heard. You don't get bored because this repetition happens in different keys, and that is of the great significance. We're going to come back to this in just a moment, but let me give you a clue. Take 5 is a famous melody that was made popular by jazz master as well as a master of classical music, Dave Brubeck, who was fascinated with the music of Johann Sebastian Bach as well, and made recordings of this composer's music as well. Today we are going to continue our explorations about Johann Sebastian Bach's innovations. I started our podcast for a very important reason. This key, E-flat minor, has 6 flats, and today we take it for granted. We don't find anything special. This is one of many keys that we use in music, and we are equally accustomed to hear the key and other keys with large amount of sharps or flats. But that was not the case during the time of Johann Sebastian Bach. And what we inherited from this composer is one of the critically important features of the music of our time and the times that followed Johann Sebastian Bach. At the time of unsurpassed master of polyphony, the new type of tuning started becoming more and more prominent, very much thanks to his influence. The octave was divided into 12 equal semitones, which allowed the explosion of musical colors through the use and availability of many more keys, tonalities. Our image of Bach surrounded by multicolored keyboards is representative of this incredible innovation, if not for Well-Tempered Clavier first and second book written by Johann Sebastian Bach, it is quite unclear what our music making would be like today. So that is one of the reasons for everyone, both musicians and our audience members, to delve into this vast universe, the great wealth of creativity, exploration, innovation. We are going to review today one of the most outstanding pieces of well-tempered clavier, C-sharp major fugue from the first book. This piece, I believe, is one of the mavericks of Bach's polyphony. We're going to find out why. But first, let's very briefly review the most fundamental feature of the fugue form. Polyphonic form is based on equality of several voices versus homophonic form. This tune that I played for you has a melody, an accompaniment. Accompaniment is subordinate to the melody. Melody leads everything, and accompaniment would not be able to exist on its own musically. However, in polyphony, we have each voice acting independently, and yet they come together in the incredibly virtuosic structure, linked through harmony, linked vertically, horizontal development of each line at the same time linked vertically. So usually each and every fugue opens with the leading short tune, which is called tema, theme, or subject. Different terms are used in different countries. In this case, the theme starts like that. It starts with the top, in the top voice, and then we hear alto and bass catch the same tune, and that's the pattern. This tune is going to appear throughout the fugue, although in different voices and in different keys. Let's briefly look at the structure of this theme, because it is of great importance for our exploration today. It starts with this element of rise to the top. And then we have, I call this rhythmic spring, inner drive of this theme, and then it follows with leaps, very wide leaps, which makes this theme very dance-like. And the interesting thing is there is some sort of yodeling in this part. We almost have the split into two voices, because we have bottom line and dissonance. With the beginning of first counter subject. So, a very interesting, very exciting theme, celebratory, happy, dance-like. But does it stay that way throughout the piece? Let's find out. So the exposition of this fugue begins in C sharp major. We have a segment that does not have the thematic material from our main theme or subject. And as you just heard, we are following the sequential modulation from key to the next key to the next key. And then we come back to the theme. In very bright key, the dominant key, G sharp major. What happens next is the next episode number 2. We had arrived to this key of E flat minor in this piece is notated as enharmonic D sharp minor. We came to that very key that take 5, the jazz tune is written. Just so you pay attention. This is the first drastic key change for this piece. And how does that happen? Very suddenly. It does not have any kind of harmonic preparation. And the diabolic chord is used as very important because of its dissonance sonority from C sharp to D sharp minor. But D sharp minor does not sustain even for one entire measure. We are moving along. In measure 14, we have modulation within the theme. Look at this. By the end of the theme, we find ourselves in the parallel A sharp minor. Now, this is a very different episode, number 3, starting from measure 16. We've moved to the completely different state of mind. Very, very emotional, very sad. Hard to describe with words, that's why we have music. Sorry. E sharp minor, very dark key, by the way, equal to F minor, but it's notated as E sharp. And after that, episode number 4 in measure 21 is as sad as we just heard the theme, and it is in the mirror shape. So something the opposite to brilliant celebratory tone of the opening is here for us. May I say that this is one of the key moments of this fugue, because what follows next in the end of measure 22 is the theme appears yet again, although it is not here in its full presentation, only the opening. And then so we have two attempts to sound out the theme or subject. It starts with the very, very dissonant tritone diminished fifth, unlike in the beginning. But then the second appearance of the same is in different key. It starts with tritone again. And that is of the great significance. This is a musical metaphor of the change of something broken and this change is supported by other voices. This rising motif brings us back to C sharp major. We return after very deep minor. We are back to C sharp major, and we hear in all voices this rising drive, which makes it very interesting. And this brings us to dominant key G sharp major. And then C sharp major is introduced through the appearance of the theme yet one more time. But it is in a different voice, of course. What happens then is incredible. Actually, we can easily anticipate coda in this very place and the end of the fugue. But what happens is we have yet one more time our diabolic chord that in the beginning was already used to transition to another key for the first time, very drastic transition. So this is quite symbolic. Bach throws the voice of devil that messes up your plans and makes you find out what's next, what is in the store for us. And what's in the store for us is quite a remarkable thing. We are going to be invited on a journey of modulations from one key to another, exploring the full circle of fifth, starting from C sharp major to F sharp major to B major to E sharp major to A sharp major, D sharp major, G sharp major, and ending in C sharp major. This sequence is very long, longer than anything else in this piece, and pretty long for any of Bach's compositions in the form of fugue. And I believe Bach had indulged into this exploration because this fugue is one of the first fugues in this extraordinary key after C major and C minor fugues, which were relatively common keys. So this is a true celebration of well-tempered clavier, C sharp major fugue. Another incredible surprise for anyone who's familiar with the form of fugue. We hear the first part of the theme. Sorry. Nothing else. And then we go over and over. Slightly changed. And then it repeats in the bottom voice. By the way, we don't have three voices anymore as we started with. We have only two. And the opposite voice in the segment plays interesting thing. We have something similar, a straight line, and then we have this inner element of the theme sounds more bold because both hands or voices are playing this inner spring of the theme. On the inner substance versus the impression that we wear on outside. I think that is the meaning of this musical metaphor, because after this segment we start paying very close attention to this inner rhythmic spring, I call this. And in fact, after this exploratory segment, we come back to C sharp major, and we have the exact repetition of the beginning. So this arc is very predictive of what came later in the next century in music, sonata allegro form, with exposition, development, and recapitulation. This is the kind of structure that we have with very well developed motivic thematic work in the section that is clearly development section, and the transformed theme or subject that appears in the end. In the epic celebratory sound, and yet in the end we have yet once again diabolic chord. Very brief reminder, and I think Bach is reminding us that if we look inside and use introspective vision, metacognitive approach to life, evaluating our mental processing, we can achieve remarkable things, and our life can be very satisfying as well. C sharp major fugue.